So what is it like to be raised by our narcissistic parent? In one simple answer, it's horrible. It's horrible to have a narcissistic parent. It is not somebody who can love and care for a child as a parent is supposed to love and care for a child. But let's talk more about it. Maybe that you're married to a narcissist and you wonder how your children are being affected, or it could be that you were raised by one. And you now need to understand why you have all these wounds and these issues that you're struggling with in your adult life, or you might still be living with your narcissistic parent. If you have a narcissistic parent and the relationship is still, you still have a relationship, you're probably continuing to have problems no matter how old you are. So narcissist, according to the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for mental illness, and is basically grandiose sense of self-importance with exaggerated abilities and achievements, considers oneself superior to others, fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or love, a belief that one is special or unique and should only associate with special people, requiring excessive admiration, like just has to have so much compliment and admiration. A sense of entitlement that includes favorable treatment and automatic compliance with wishes. Lacking of empathy and unwilling to recognize when other people are hurting, when other people are affected by even by the narcissist. And most of the time when other people express their feelings and their needs, it's looked at as a weakness. They're envious of others and believes that others are envious of them. Again, you have to have 5 of these, not every single one of them. And arrogant and haughty behaviors and attitudes. So the cause of this is really, this person who's acting arrogant and haughty, you think must really, really, really believe all this. But the reality is that the narcissist has a very complex false self that has been built to cover up the deep flaws and inadequacies and the fear that the narcissist really isn't okay. But the false self is just it's so strong and so rigid that the narcissist has to maintain that false self. And that's one of the reasons that if you tell a narcissist that he or she has done something wrong, they're going to respond with rage to you, because how dare you confront them? How dare you criticize? How dare you point out something that is different from this idealized false self? Okay, so what happens in that relationship? Well, the parent, like I said, is very sensitive to criticism, so is not going to let you get mad, not going to let you say, I don't like you. When kids get really mad and they stomp off and they say, I hate you, that's going to be met with just extreme punishment and coldness. A narcissistic parent sees the child as an extension of himself or herself. Now that sounds kind of weird, but if you understand that the narcissist, with all of those attitudes and perceptions and that character, that they don't see other people as individuals equal to them that have equal rights. So it's almost as if a child is a part of the narcissist's body. So that the narcissist almost says, okay, this is my arm, and when I tell my arm to do something, my arm does what I want it to do. When I tell it to wave, it waves. If I tell it to make a fist, it makes a fist. So when the narcissist sees the child as an extension of his or her own body, the child is expected to automatically comply. And the child then is not a separate being, a separate individual that exists for himself or herself. It's not like, this is my child. Who is my child? I want to get to know my child. I want to know who God created my child to be. My child has a right to have feelings and opinions and thoughts, and I'm going to enjoy being with my child. Everything about the child relates to the narcissist. If the child does really well in a sport, the narcissist will have the response of, that's my child. That makes me really good. If the child isn't so good, the narcissist may react with shame and rage, because the perception is this behavior is a reflection on me. That didn't make me look so good. So what will happen, I'll give you an example of that. A friend that I have who had a narcissistic ex has children that are quite successful as adults, and often things will be posted on Facebook that will make it appear as if the success, somehow it will tie the success of the child to the success of the father. And it is put up in a very subtle way, but you can see it clearly. And also, this person wanted to succeed in the same area as children, which happened to be theater. And the narcissist still, even though quite old and has not achieved the levels of success that were wanted, and the children have, he will still see himself as that brilliant, talented actor. And again, it's very interesting how that happens. So what will happen, let's say you have multiple children in a family, the narcissist will often pick a favorite, and that is the child that complies with the narcissist's wishes. That is the child that makes the narcissist feel best and the most arrogant and, the most proud. It is a child that caters to the whims of the narcissist. And so one child might be completely ignored, because if that child is not important to that narcissist's agenda, or if that child does not make the narcissist feel good, that child will be ignored. And when you don't go along with the narcissist's agenda, you get punishment, you get a cold withdrawal from the relationship. And so if you don't do what is wanted, there isn't any love. There's there's conditional love, not unconditional love. So if the child doesn't comply, the narcissist can be very, very cold and very indifferent, which is very painful. And a child doesn't understand. In a child's mind, that means I've done something that makes daddy or mommy hate me, makes daddy or mommy not love me. And the child begins to internalize that shame toward himself, and it becomes very damaging. So the other one is children experience huge losses because they don't have this feeling of being special and unique, this feeling of being a person and an individual who has rights and feelings and thoughts and who's an independent being. There's just so much boundary violation with a narcissist, that so much enmeshed relationship stuff, that it's very hard for this child to pull away. So the children of narcissists, one or more of the children in the family, may actually idealize the narcissist and see the narcissist as the narcissist sees himself. So if the narcissist thinks I'm this, fantastic, person that's super successful in my life, and I'm wonderful, the children may idealize that parent, the narcissistic parent, and actually take on the contempt and the anger and the negative feelings that the narcissist has toward the other parent, towards that narcissist spouse. And so it's often, I hear cases a lot. I get a lot of emails and letters from people through my website that are married to narcissists or had narcissist parents. It's very common for a narcissist, a person who's married to a narcissist, to say, oh my gosh, like the children take his side and they are against me and they believe the stuff about me. And if there's a breakup in the relationship, for the children to be fearful about being honest with the narcissist about what's going on. And instead, the children will stay with the narcissist and take on the narcissist's whole belief system because it's too scary to come up against the narcissist and say, what you're doing is not okay. Because when you confront a narcissist, and I have seen this happen in my own life with narcissists that I know, when you confront a narcissist, and I've also, like I said, had many people write it, when you confront a narcissist and you say, this is not okay, you set a boundary, the narcissist will often cut you off. In the narcissist world, you have no right to set a boundary. So when a child says, even as an independent adult, a child says to a narcissistic parent, I'm married, this is my family, this is the way I'm raising my children, This is how I want to do it when you're in my home. Please do this, or please respect our boundary. Don't come over all the time, or you can only stay in our home for a week at a time, not 3 months at a time, or please call us before you come over. Narcissists don't like that. You have no right. They're going to react with, how dare you? And they may literally cut off a relationship for something that you're asking that is healthy, and literally punish you. I've had narcissists take away family inheritances, cut off the whole relationship, refuse to speak to their child and the child's spouse. In other words, the adult child and in-law, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, but go around their back and go to the children, align with another sibling and make that sibling believe these horrible things about the other sibling and the family, give lots of gifts and favors to the other sibling and the other sibling's children, and make sure that that other child that didn't go along with things and dared to set a boundary knows what's going on, telling the whole family lies about this person, and just getting everybody to, go against them. So, it can be huge repercussions. I don't want to scare you. I just want you to understand the realities of having a narcissist parent, which may help you to understand some of the reaction and crazy responses you got to asking very simple things. I'll give you an example of one that was told to me. There's a law that says put children in seatbelts, right? So when children were little and riding in a car, and the person requested that the grandfather put the child in a car seat, and the response was, how dare you accuse me of wanting to kill my grandkids? Well, that isn't what was said. The comment was just, please make sure you put them in the car seat. I've had my own daughter tell me that with children. Literally, okay? And I just said, well, of course. Why would I not? And the response in this other situation was basically, how dare you accuse me of wanting to kill my grandchildren? I'm not going to see my grandchildren if you're going to tell me that. And that is just absolutely crazy, but it really happens. The other thing is that children experience great shame, sometimes even growing up to be narcissists, because the shame of who they are, and they feel so bad about themselves that they, again, have to create this false image to just be okay. And so sometimes those deep wounds and that deep shaming actually results in that person growing up and acting very narcissistically in their own relationships. The narcissistic parent is extremely critical. And then there is competition. And this sounds crazy too, but I've had many instances of reports of narcissistic mothers actually being competitive with their daughters and being upset and not wanting to admit that my daughter's prettier or younger or more talented. So the mom will project all of that shame and that low self-esteem she feels about herself onto the daughter, and starts to tell the daughter, you're not pretty, you're fat, you're not attractive, nobody will love you, or competing against her. I was prettier than you, I was able to do more, and all of that. And it makes no logical sense unless you understand narcissism. The same thing if the child is achieving something. It might be, like I said, achieving in a sport or academically. And you'll hear the parents say things like, you know what, you're either you got smart from me, or I did more than you. My grades were better. And again, doesn't make sense unless you understand it. They also, as when you're an adult and you establish your own life, as I said, they have a lot of difficulty allowing you to be separate, to form a separate family, and to leave their control, and to leave the sphere of influence that you have with the narcissist, because again, they don't see you as separate. So you may find a lot of pressure from your narcissistic parent in not accepting the fact that you're married, or you chose a different career than what was expected, or you're moving away, maybe out of state or something. And then you really have to understand that when you challenge that narcissist, that they are going to punish you. So whether you're a child, an adult child, or maybe things have been okay and now you have a teenager who's growing up, and a teenager begins to challenge and say, I don't believe in what you believe, or I don't like what you did, or say no. The narcissist is not going to tolerate that. The narcissist is going to be very, very, very punitive and reactive to any feelings or any challenging of rules or dictates. So you may see the narcissist shift a lot of the behavior toward that child that's beginning to do that, and that may be very troublesome if you're, married to somebody who's narcissistic, and now seeing this shift as your child becomes a teen to feel like some of this, and let's be honest, a lot of this type of behavior is going to be abusive. This is not healthy, normal behavior. So you may all of a sudden see your child being abused by the narcissistic parent and having all this directed and not know what to do. Understanding what you're dealing with is really, really important. So how do you respond to that? You have to recognize the narcissist is not going to accept your boundaries. So you're going to have to get strong enough to recognize narcissism, understand narcissism, know how you've been affected, how you are affected. And then you have to decide what you want and need. And you have to be willing, quite frankly, to let the narcissist get mad, to let the narcissist react, and to know it's not about you. It's about what's going on inside of the narcissism. Maybe if you see that narcissist as somebody who's inside this fragile shell that they have to have around them. And if the shell is broken, it's just nothing but, fear inside for allowing, letting something crack to show through what's really underneath it. It might give you compassion for the narcissist, because they're certainly not going to have compassion for how you are affected by their behavior. But you just got to get strong, and you got to set your own boundaries, and you got to say, I'm not willing to allow this or this, and this is how I'm going to respond. And if the narcissist chooses to punish or cut off the relationship, you may have to be willing to do that in order to protect yourself if the relationship is really, really toxic. So I hope this helps you. If you need to learn even more, look for some more videos on what it takes to be, what happens when you're raised by a narcissistic parent. I have a book called When Love Hurts, 10 Principles to Transform Difficult Relationships, and it will really help you to rebuild your own repertoire of skills to understand, what is real love in a relationship, how do you take care of yourself, how do you nurture yourself, how do you face your fears, how do you set boundaries, how do you speak the truth in a relationship, speak the truth in love, how do you face fears and get to that point where you're willing to set that boundary. Just a lot of really good things. I teach you how to detach with love, which is the ability to separate. And that is what's lacking often when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and been raised by one, is you're often so enmeshed that you may have trouble recognizing where you start and where the narcissist ends. And you may literally not understand what's going on. And so that detachment will help you. So go to my website, changemyrelationship.com, and check out some of my resources. And if you have any questions or comments about the video, I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship.